the High Voltage Live Show. I'm your host, Willie Snyder from NEC Question, coming to you live from the Mile High City in Denver, Colorado. Joined by my awesome co-host, Mr. King James Stallcup, over there in the Longhorn Country, giving a 1-2 hook of horns from the Mile High City. Appreciate it. And look who we already have popping in. Yeah, we're the code nerds, all right. You know, you guys all making fun of us on the job site over there. A bunch of code nerds talking code all the time. Yeah.
Because they're typing something here. Absolutely hated by hacks. You know,
That's true. That's true. And we have King James's link up there to his Learn Worlds website, and that is freaking awesome, man. I've been in there checking stuff out, and it's cool, man. You guys gotta go check it out. And,
we got more coming. We're getting a lot done. I know who the winner is. I'm about to contact him this coming next week and announce it. So all of that's been done. We just been doing a whole bunch of stuff, and I had to do Dad and I had to do a report for Amazon. They were leasing this place from this guy, and big place, and we went out there and did an inspection on it. Had to write a report, and the electrician out there didn't know what the hell he was doing, so he didn't ground anything right. Let's just put it that way.
wow. Well, we gotta get Daniel's music in there. So, but we did have a big shout out. We have Colorado's newest journeyman, Rodney Garcia. So congratulations, Rodney. It's pretty awesome to, keep getting these journeymen popping in here in Colorado. So, now we need to get that continuing education so I can get that off my plate soon.
I'm trying like hell, man. It's just so much, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you, there's just a lot going on, dude. I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I was like on my way home and talking to one of the gas station attendants, and he's like, "Oh, you're getting ready to do a podcast on electrical, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Is it anything current?"
Anything current? What do you think it was? I mean, there's sometimes we'll have a
Well, you don't get the joke. It was like current, like
yeah,
electrical current.
but we do sometimes have to go back and hit stuff on 2023 and
Oh yeah.
2020. I mean, to sort of tie things in to what's taking place. And I'll tell you,
We have
was,
like the most current stuff here.
let me look here. There was something I was wanting to look at, and I hadn't. I meant to do it, but I hadn't. And I'm going to look at something here because it'll give us a time frame at least. And let me look here. I'll have it for you here in just a second.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look, Daniel, because I got to do my CEUs too, and they're coming up. The thing that's different about this cycle that I noticed is they don't open up the portal to renewal until 4 weeks before. So I think we won't even be able to renew till like the last week of August.
So it'll be June.
Yeah.
June, the public input closing date. Guy, I need to get my public inputs in because it's April 9th.
Yeah.
I need to hurry up and do that. Our first draft report posting date will be June 10th, 2027 next year. So once that gets posted, probably right around, we'll probably start 1st of July, and we'll start prepping everybody, getting ready for this. And the reason we'll have to do that is because if they take and relay out the NEC, we're gonna people have to start getting familiar where everything went.
True. Yeah,
So
and that is nice. Like it's pretty funny, going in and like just going in and teaching some of the guys at work. Like, oh yeah, this is where this is at, and this is how you do this, and this is that. And it's kind of fun to be able to teach them that and show them just from doing this podcast. It's pretty fun. It's like just I try to just pay attention and just listen to what your lessons, and we have a good one this week, I think, for the myth of the week. And like you said, I liked it when you mentioned it. It's a good one, because people are getting like solar panels up on their roof now and stuff.
yeah, because you were asking me, and I said, well, I got a good myth for you. I actually had quite a few different ones. I said this is actually a pretty good one because most people don't know. And looking at the comment stuff, I could tell. I want to pop one thing up here real quick, okay? Let me
All
go
right.
ahead and get this up.
Yeah, that was so funny, man. Oh man, that just cracked me up when we did that.
Couldn't let it go. I was like, yeah, we're at 60,000. And
That's so
let's,
awesome.
before we get into the audio, I know you're going to do, let's go ahead and get the meme of the week out way, and then we'll be going right
Okay,
into the others. So let me go ahead and do
sounds
the
good.
meme of the week, which I thought was sort of funny.
That's why no one will remember your name. I thought that was pretty funny.
I'm going to say this. I started, really, I probably started when I was wiring stuff, probably 1979, I guess. Yeah, because I'd have been sophomore. And uh, I'll tell you, when I was going through the trade, we worked on stuff hot all the time. If you were too scared to do it, you were considered a wuss. I'm just going to tell you the fact. You know, I remember my grandfather and my dad telling me stories. He goes, yeah, when we used to test circuits, they said they'd lick their thumb like that and just bam, pop it like that, and to see if it was hot or not. I was
Right?
like, damn.
Yeah. No, I mean there was crazy stuff. Like we were talking about that today. That we've done stuff where we've drilled out cabinets like with 3-inch knockouts and stuff, like this far away from live 480 bus bars and stuff, and like you had to be real careful and just get in there with your leather gloves and not touch nothing, and
Oh yeah.
you know
Matter of
it was
fact, if
pretty
I'm
crazy.
not mistaken, it used to say a long time in the code book, because they knew it would damage your tissue and stuff. And I think it used to say in there, if I remember right, it said when you're testing a circuit, it'd say lick your thumb and do it. And it said when you couldn't feel the voltage anymore in your thumb, then it told you lick your forefinger and touch it.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, that's pretty crazy too, Daniel.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that we have to kind of go through, and
Yeah,
yeah,
it was just one of those things, when I was coming through. You just worked on energy. That's how it was, and uh, all you had to do is get shocked once. you started figuring out what to do. And that's why I always say some of the best electricians are the older electricians, because they had to figure stuff out a lot different in the way they do it today. And they went through hard knocks.
Yeah, like I was doing one today. We did a shutdown today at DIA, and they have a no live work policy. But it wasn't that bad. It was only just shutting down like the parking garage panels and stuff. So it wasn't a big deal. And I feel more confident when it's shut off, you know. But
You
I mean,
know, you'll like this story because it was late '70s, and my grandfather still had it. And have you ever used a star bit?
yeah, yeah, like at Torx.
No, they called it a star bit, and it had the pointed edges on it, and it was probably like that round, and you would put it up there to a concrete wall, and you would hit it with a hammer, turn it, and that's how they got their hose through through
Oh wow.
concrete. Yeah, and my grandfather had me do one, and he said I've done probably about 500 of those. I was
Wow.
like, no kidding. He goes, yeah. He goes, that's how we used to get the pipe through concrete walls. They called it a star bit, and they'd sit there and just keep turning it, and you know, it slowly but surely they worked their way through and everything to get the hole through the concrete.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Wow.
that's an old school. I think they were doing that back like in the '40s and '50s, maybe, or something, '60s, because he had a whole bunch of. We still have the tools that he had back then that they used to do all that stuff. I mean, it's really interesting, you know, when
Yeah.
you got, because I'm fourth generation, so I got to go through and see all that stuff, and of course I worked in his shop since I was 14, putting up materials and all that crap,
Nice.
and learning about the materials. And he had all these other tools. I said, "What the hell are these?" And then he started telling me stories about everything. So it's,
All
I
right.
got to see some pretty cool stuff. So
Yeah. No, and that's the thing that's so cool about this podcast is like, both me and King James have been, through the ringer when it comes to all the years of experience, and you can tell a lot of these guys out there that are trying to be like code experts and stuff, like they don't have that field experience, so it's really hard for them to relate to kind of, the same way. And so with you being an inspector, King James, I'm going to ask you this question, and it's funny because we typically argue this a lot. So if you have NM cable that's installed under a sink, would you consider that exposed or concealed?
that's
Concealed in the
concealed.
concealed in the cabinet or
It's concealed.
exposed? Yeah, I mean, I don't see how it could really be considered exposed, but at the same time, I could see it be subject to physical damage.
Well, I can't
So,
even see that. You come out of it and you go over, you bend it over and you tack everything to the wood. I mean,
yeah.
what are they saying? Somebody's gonna go in there and grab it and freaking yank on it like that? I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
that's
it's it
ridiculous.
it's pretty interesting. But I asked Tommy D that question, and let's see how he answered.
Oh, okay.
And is NM cable installed under a sink considered exposed or concealed? Willie Snyder. Well, what code requirement would you need to know that for? That's my first question. It would not be for this because this is roof decking.
So they were talking about, I believe it was 306 or 300. It was where subject to physical damage, essentially like where you have to protect, like in. They were specifically talking about in roof decking and stuff, but there you'll see how it does kind of pertain a little bit in there.
I don't know that there. I would like to know what section you're referring to in the code, because that would determine how I answer that, how I would answer that question. I need to understand where it either puts you into a requirement or takes you out of a requirement. Robert is exposed. Wiring in attics, exposed above suspended ceiling. exposed. Wiring in attics. Yeah. You want to protect NM wire. So if there's a code reference, I'd like to see it. Willie says he's submitted a few public inputs for the 2020 NEC. I always look forward to your public inputs. Willie, I've got quite a few as well. Not around this, but I do. Ready B. Not sure if code calls it, but have seen multiple times that undersink wiring of NM being damaged, so it should be considered exposed and protected as such. Okay,
so not anybody in here has said anything about it being concealed, which I thought was pretty interesting, you know, and this is all like the guys that are like regulars on Tommy's show. But the thing that's funny is they say, oh, well, wiring in attics is exposed. I don't see how that you could say that. You know, I don't see how you could say wiring in an attic is exposed. But you'll see how he starts going into the code a little bit, and you'll see.
Yeah, we have to protect NM.
The only thing they could even possibly come to would be 334.12, and I think it's the last item. I think it's 12. And they'll say we're exposed to physical damage. That's not exposed to physical damage.
Yeah. Yeah, they say, oh, well, the homeowner could put stored things under there, but we always joke around. We're like, what do they store their battle axes under there? It's like that was, so that's pretty funny. You'll see, I do mention 334 as a reference.
Wire. It's not under a roof deck, but NM wire is in B. Non-metallic sheath cable in both exposed and concealed locations where non-metallic sheath cable passed through either factory or field punched, cut, or drilled slots. I'm in 300.6B. So B did not, in my opinion, B did not see changes in the 2026 National Electrical Code. But the discussion right now is around protecting NM wire, and what the language in B1 says.
It was funny because I actually had a comment in here where I said, I always tell my apprentice to make sure and use the correct terms because you don't sound very smart if you're saying wire instead of cable. So I thought that was pretty funny.
In both exposed and concealed, so it doesn't matter. If you are passing through either factory or field punched, cut, or drilled slot or holes, so in the cabinet, I would say the NM wire that maybe goes from an outlet to, I had a dishwasher one time that NM wire terminated on the dishwasher itself. It wasn't corded wire. So, and I know, Willie, your next question is where's the outlet, but I'm not going there either. Filled, punched, cut, or drilled slots or holes in metal members. The cable shall be protected by listed bushings or listed grommets covering all metal edges that are securely fastened. So anytime you're passing, you take NM wire through holes, etc., you want to protect it. When you have nails or screws that are likely to penetrate non-metallic sheath cable or electrical non-metallic tubing, a steel sleeve, steel plate, or steel clip, not less than 1/16 of an inch in thickness, has to be used to protect it.
Can I stop right there for a second? I want everybody to pay attention to what I'm about to say again. I know I say this a lot, but this is where if you go into any of our publications, and Bill's very aware of this, we always put loops and stuff for you to go back and look at, so you can follow through and see what everything says. So I'll give you an example of something. If I look and I've got a lay-in luminaire set in a suspended ceiling, and I come out of a junction box and say I run AC cable, MC cable, whatever. I run it over there. Is that cable considered exposed? Yes, it's considered exposed as applied to what? Wiring methods. Okay. So instead of trying to look at a section there that isn't giving you any clarity or anything, you need to go back and look at the definition. Okay. So when you go look at the definition for exposed as it's being applied to wiring methods, what it's going to say over there, it says on or attached to the surface or behind panels designed to allow what? Access. That's it. It says it's exposed there. Okay. Now you have to look at the exposure, and then you get in and you look at to see what is physical damage. Okay.
Sure.
And that, and you'll remember this a while back. One of the things that they used to have in the code, they used to have a definition for physical damage. You remember? As a matter of fact,
yeah.
I think they even did one for severe physical damage, didn't they?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, guess what? That's not in the code anymore.
True.
Okay. So why did it come out? That's the question that needs to be asked, instead of just giving, some opinion or something and just mumbling around like he is. And what I look at from there, the reason is because it's hard to determine and put in words what is considered physical damage. And I look at physical damage as something that somebody's going to reach in there and grab hold of, and they're going to pull on it.
True.
Okay. And when I'm looking at underneath the sink, I consider that concealed. But I'll give you an example. What is the difference if I've seen them where they have taken and run through the cabinets with non-metallic sheet cable? What's the difference?
Yeah, I mean, the reason,
I mean, you can't pick and choose.
Yeah, and the reason I kind of wanted to show this is because they're trying to find this like magical code that doesn't exist, and it was pretty funny because I say it in there. I was like, I say it's up to AHJ interpretation. You as an AHJ, did you ever make anybody put NM cable and conduit under there?
No, the only time I got on somebody, probably twice out of all the times I inspected, and if I saw that underneath, is I made sure they strapped it up. It just wasn't hanging there, which I saw that a couple of times. I said, nah, you got to strap that, brother. And they're okay. They grab two staples, boom, boom, and it's out of the way. I mean, somebody would have to reach up in there and grab it and just freaking pull on it.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's why I'm saying you got to look at the definitions and everything, and then ask yourself, why did they take out physical damage?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's subjective.
Yeah, it's subjective. That's right. They couldn't put it into words. They even tried to put it into words what was considered severe physical damage, and it ended up getting taken out. So yeah, I've been in the code that long, remembering when something come in and all of that, and then when it went out, and it was funny because I remember when they put physical damage in and severe, I said that'll eventually come out, and it did.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
yeah,
that's what you want to look at when you're looking underneath the sink like that. Is it exposed to physical damage? I'm going to say no. Especially if it's put up, and that brings you another thing. If I've got, and they'll say, well, somebody could grab hold, pull on it. Okay. Well, then I can also say the same thing. If I've got an ACMC cable going to a lighting fixture, somebody could grab that and pull it too.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of interesting because like almost every single one of these guys just keeps saying expose, but they can't provide any kind of definition of what, supports their argument, And so, it's pretty funny, but like one of the interesting things that comes out of this, and you'll hear this.
Was that Jeremy?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. See, this is another example of somebody that sits in the office and doesn't go out and actually see electrical work.
Yeah.
I see here in Texas, I've seen it all over where they do that. Nobody has a problem. And we hadn't had any deaths or anything like that. Nobody's getting hurt because they strap it up and get it out of the way. Now, if it's out of the way, and I'll ask Jeremy the same question, what's the difference if I've got a suspended ceiling and I've got AC or MC cable going to it and it's sitting there hanging down to it, and you've got one strap? Could somebody pull on that? I could say they pull that off. That could be exposed to physical damage.
Yeah. Well, you'll hear, because I say, so you'll hear what I say. 334 use is permitted, not permitted. And then I say it's up to AHJ interpretation. And then Tommy comes in and says, oh, yeah, well, I could say it's subject to physical damage, and somebody else could say it's not. So you'll hear that coming up.
Where nails or screws are likely to penetrate non-metallic sheet cable. If the exception is a listed or marked steel plate, blah, blah, blah. So, and then there's D, cables and raceways parallel to framing members, and that was, I think, I don't know if I think it was Robert that mentioned something about attics. Robert from Omaha.
And I don't think it's
there's your
exposed
cables
in
and
an attic.
raceways parallel to framing members and furring strips. And it says exposed and concealed locations where cable or raceway type wiring method is installed parallel to framing methods, such as joists, rafters, or studs, or is installed parallel to furring strips or cable from the nearest edge of the framing member. So there's requirements, and it says exposed and concealed locations, so it doesn't matter. It's both of those. They should just say in all locations where cable or raceway.
I agree. Yeah.
Cables and raceways installed in shallow grooves. So check out 300.6 for your protection requirements in the NEC. What happens, Tom, if we catch a whale? That's a good question, Robert. You never want to catch a whale.
So what is funny is Tommy always says this. Like, he always says he's like teaching us to fish. So that's why he's going into like all the public inputs and all the public comments and trying to show where the changes are. And then, one of the guys was like, what if we catch a whale while we're fishing? But it's like we catch a whale every single time and they get madder than heck.
I don't know. I think it's subject to AHJ interpretation. Everything is subject to AHJ. Mr. Petrucci, hello, welcome. He may be late, but he's worth the wait. It would be 334 uses permitted. Yeah, 334 covers NM wiring. So remember that. 334, if you go to the 2026 code, 334, non-metallic NM wire, there's some minor changes there. There's uses permitted and uses not permitted. So, let's take a look at uses not permitted. Exposed within
Can I make a comment on this? Because he's just bumbling. He's having to look stuff up because he doesn't know. But when you go over and you look what is considered exposed work, and you look at 334.15b, and it talks about protection from physical damage, and you go down and you just pick up the general requirement in 1A. What does it say over there? It says cable shall be protected from physical damage. Now listen to what it says: where necessary.
Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't say shall be protected by physical damage by a rigid metal conduit, intermediate, and so on. It says where necessary. So that tells you right there, there's going to be certain installations where it's not necessary.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they're saying. Otherwise, those two words would not be there. That's my whole argument over this. And that's why I tell you, you got to go back and you've got to look at what's Jeremy. All anybody has to do is go listen to the live stream we did. I fully explain everything, and it shows that you have no clue what you're talking about. You just completely disregard the first sentence of 230.42A1 A1, and you just completely disregard that, and you disregard 215.3 where we were talking about all that, and it literally tells you to go look at 240.4 B and 100%. C. That's where you pick it up. And I'm not going to argue with you anymore. You don't know what you're talking about. And that's why you're an apprentice instructor. You're still learning.
Yeah, 100%. So we'll move on. It's almost done, I think. So, okay. But you'll hear.
Like I had in my basement, I got rid of that, fixed all those problems. I put them through the joists correctly, at the right distances. As service entrance cable, can't use it in garages, heavy hazardous hoist, storage battery rooms, hazardous embedded ports, direct barrier where subject to physical damage. That's always a point of contention and debate. That's really up to the AHJ. I might say.
No kidding.
Because I said that. I said it's AHJ interpretation. Now all of a sudden he says
subject to physical damage, and someone else may say it absolutely is. So be careful about that one. That's a challenge for everybody. All right.
So I had to give Weedman's entrance song. There's your music there, Weedman.
I want to take a second here. I want everybody to see this. I want to show what he's complaining about, to show that he has no clue what he is talking about. Okay, let me increase this a little bit. So right here, you're looking at 215.5 is 215.3 in the 2023. And when you pick this up, what it says right here, feeders shall be provided with overcurrent protection in accordance with what? Article 240, Part 1. End of discussion. Okay? And that's where you go to size it after you've calculated the load. That's it.
Oh, and then you want to read that exception too? Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I brought this up too. Where the assembly, including the feeder overcurrent protection devices, is listed for operation at 100% of its rating, the ampere rating of the overcurrent protection device shall be permitted to be not less than the sum of the continuous load plus the non-continuous load.
Yeah.
Same calculation. It doesn't matter. It's just telling you about the overcurrent protection device is what we went over, and I showed you the calculation of the load we had there at 125%. It was calculated, I think, 905 amps. I'm going off memory here. And then if you go, and then just so everybody can see this, so you won't think I'm just making stuff up, and Jeremy's going to cry and say, oh, I didn't get to come on and, make my case. But right here, here's your overcurrent protection devices rated over 800 amps. What does it say? Where the overcurrent protection device is rated over 800 amps, the ampacity of the conductors it protects shall be equal to or greater than what? The rating of the overcurrent protection device. So that means I calculated my conductors. I think it was 920 amps. The next size below that's 900 amps. End of discussion.
And let me. You had 922 amp conductors or 920 amp conductor rating.
Yeah, and let me explain something a little bit.
To twist this and say you had a 751 amp conductor.
Well, it was a continuous load. That's what I'm saying. It was calculated, and then you go to Article 240, and he tries to twist everything because he realizes he lost the argument and he looked like an idiot.
Oh, yeah.
And but then again, that's the way he acts all the time. So it's not something that's. I mean, it's just the way he acts. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah, so we have a special.
Where's the myth of the week, Willie?
Right now, Michael, here we go.
It's time for Myth of the Week.
All right. Thanks so much. Oh, you need the music? So thanks so much for all the participation on the legendary electrical code discussion for Awesome Electrician Group. It was so funny because we just started that group. I started it as a joke because they kicked me out of electrical code discussion. So I was like, all right, I'm going to make my own group that's for awesome electricians. And those guys can stay over there and not be awesome electricians. But it was pretty cool. That to see it hit 60,000 was a real joy. But the myth of the week, true or false, a metal roofing is required to be bonded into the electrical equipment. Now, this is really interesting because if you have like this metal roof on like a steel building or some kind of steel, and you're going to have that grounding electrode tied to your building steel anyway, then yeah, you're bonded in anyway. So I think this is kind of a more like, this kind of stood out for me more in like a residential, because I don't see anything being bonded to the needed to be bonded to the service. Now, if you were to go and put solar panels up there, now that metal roof's likely to become energized. So I thought it was pretty interesting, and just to have you kind of, bring this up, I was like, man, that is a really good point, because I have seen that where inspectors say, nope, gotta bond it, and you never know, like. They could have a pool, and at that point, the roof is going to have to be like part of the equipotential plane. So there's a lot of different cases where I could see this being relevant. To me, honestly, it's really hard to see, but this is actually a standing seam, what they call a standing seam roof.
Yeah.
So this is one of the most common metal roofs. That's why I used it. I have actually installed solar panels on standing seam roofs before, so I kind of know a little bit about it. That's why I wanted to kind of put it up there. And the thing is, that metal roof that I put all those solar panels on was bonded to the electrical equipment. And then there was a lot of comments about lightning protection. And I thought that was pretty interesting too, because what is lightning protection bonded to, King James?
It's bonded to the service equipment.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I don't think there's much argument there. So that was kind of why I wanted to bring this up this week. And I did have a little bit of insight on this specific application. Like I said, the ones I did was commercial. So this might be a little bit more of a gray area, because that could be like a class 4 wood structure. So I could see this being kind of maybe a little bit more of a gray area, and so I kind of wanted to get a little bit of education from Mr. Inspector and see how you would handle this, like if I was doing a service on this house, and if you would require this roof to be bonded, or if this one could just full float.
Well, first and foremost, the metal roofing doesn't have to be bonded. It'd be no different as if I put metal siding on the side of the building. It doesn't have to be bonded either. What you get into is, and this is probably the most important part, just to sort of look as far as code's concerned, where it gets in talking about bonding of piping systems and exposed structural metal. And when you get into the exposed structural metal, that's where it's interconnected to form what? The metal building frame. Okay, so that's what you're looking at, and when you go back and you pick up, you always bond in your metal, don't you? So that takes care of that. And I did see one of the comments in there. People were referencing 25104C, and I was like, yeah, that needs to be referenced. But as far as saying that the metal roofing has to be bonded, there's nothing in the code that says that except for where you're tying it in, where it's building steel. Okay, now that
Yeah,
brings you.
and then you run into like solar,
Yeah, well, say
like that
this.
solar application, because that could be likely to become energized.
Say I've got a metal roof up there, and I take and I have a motorized fan up there, exhaust fan out through the roof. Well, if it's put in the ground, it's going to bond it in anyway. Isn't it? You see what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
you can have an option like that, but there's nothing talking about that going up there where it has to bond in with the roof still and everything. And a lot of sections that you would look at that, I'll just give everybody a code rate. If I was going to look at this, I'd start over in 250.4A4, and then, of course, take it over here to 25104C, time it in, then look at 250.110, 250.112, and if you're over 1,000 volts for your service, go over and look at 250.194. But those are just sections for you to follow and see where I'm coming from with this. And that brings me to the next point, and I wanted to point this out because if you actually go in and we're the only, now I know IEI ended up putting some of their lightning protection in the source book, but and it's funny because you can go back and check this. They didn't have any of that in there till after we came out with our lightning protection book, but they don't go as far in depth as we do. We go in and we show you all this stuff. We even show you as it pertains to the utilities that are upstream. We go through, show you all of this and type of readings and everything you get. But when you look at NFPA 780, it does not say anything about the metal roofing. Okay, well, it talks about the metal roofing, but it doesn't talk about bonded in. And the reason it doesn't, because you're in lightning protection. If you're really going to bond something in, you're going to do it through lightning protection, and you're going to do that through your air terminals or your lightning protection rods, whatever you want to call them. In the NFPA 780, we call them air terminals that are sticking up. And then, of course, that goes in based on all the different types of slopes that are on the roof. But the one thing you're always trying to do based on the slope, you're trying to get it down as quick as possible, down to one point, which they would take down. And usually they'll drive a ground rod and tie it into a ground ring around the building, which is going to be tied into your service equipment. Everything will be bonded in together. But the reason I wanted to point this out is because if you go over an NFPA 780 and you look at 4.15.3, if you have different types of long horizontal metal bodies on the roof. So in other words, think of it this way. If I have a flat roof and I've got an AC unit up there, I've got all these different things running all on the roof and all that, do they go in and provide lightning protection for that?
Yeah.
No, and that's all exposed metal up there.
The one that we did, like we did one for like Comcast, it had air terminals on every HVAC unit, and it had like it was kind of funny because we had my apprentice, we had to like, they were changing the units out, and we had to take those air terminals off and we had to reattach them back to the unit. And I was like, make sure your self tappers aren't too long. Go through the coils of the AC unit.
Well, I can tell you that ain't going to do anything because if it strikes right there, it's going to blow it up anyway. So That's somebody, you got an engineer that's engineering lightning protection. He doesn't really understand it.
Yeah.
Because what you're trying to build when you're building lightning protection, you're trying to build, what does that say?
Oh, he's saying, why do we play clips from other people's podcasts rather than have people live on our own podcast? Which we are. We're gonna have Jason Kugli next week. He was the inventor of the Master Electrician app, so that's gonna be pretty cool. I'm real excited to have Jason on next week.
Yeah, I heard the boys over at ECD attacked him for it. What you
Oh,
should
yeah.
be over, what you should be over, Jeremy, sticking up for him because he is a union guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but he
Local
won't do
98.
that. Jeremy won't go over there and take up for him because he's not part of the good old boy group. In other words, he'll probably be over there attacking him because somebody in his union actually got out and did something and put something together, and it wasn't him. So,
Oh yeah.
but when
Yeah,
you
only the Minnesota locals are the only ones that are smart. Everyone else is just glorified ditch diggers.
now, one of this things here, this is where they talk about where you have long horizontal grounded metal bodies on roofs. So if you've got stuff that is going up across there, there's some rules here for this. Okay. So if you have, and this is interesting because if the metal roof is supposed to be grounded or anything up there, then automatically you would consider this would be grounded in too, right? So they're telling you this is a little bit different. So they're telling you if I have grounded metal bodies on the roof and they exceed 60 foot in horizontal length, guess what they have to be? Bonded to the lightning protection system. Now that is interesting because you were just telling me a guy said, oh, we had to put it on this, and this. Why did you? Was it over 60 foot?
No. Well, no, what it was an existing lightning protection system, and they had it all mounted on all the HVAC units on top of the roof, and they had all the air terminals mounted on all the HVAC units. And I think we changed out like 15 HVAC units, and so every single one of them, we had to disconnect all those air terminals when they changed the rooftop unit out. Then we had to reconnect them back to those RTUs.
Yeah, usually what they do when they have a flat roof, they put it at all corners on the roof. Is usually how they do lightning protection.
This was like the main hub for like Comcast, and it was like they had like 15 RTUs, and they had this massive lighting protection system up there. And I think what it was I think that the RTUs like maybe stood higher than the parapet wall or something. Maybe that's why they had to do it. Like it was some kind of weird engineering, and they had like separate like levels of roof too, so I think that was another reason they had to do that. So
I would still say that isn't right because we even show in our lightning protection where you have different levels and it's still done at the corners. Now, if that's a flat roof, now if you got a steep roof, you got pitches and stuff, that completely changes everything.
right.
But then it goes down and it says where you have horizontal grounded metal bodies that are parallel to a main lightning conductor. So this is your main lightning conductor. And within the bonding distance, there's calculation. We show that in our book. Shall be bonded to the main conductor at intervals averaging not more than 100 foot along the main conductor unless it is inherently bonded through the construction at those locations. Okay. So you got to take the main conductor into consideration, but more than likely what's going to happen if it's over 100 foot, usually it's bonded into the construction most of the time.
True.
Then it says horizontal grounded metal bodies that cross a main conductor. So if it crosses that main conductor, shall be bonded to the main conductor where they cross the conductor unless it's bonded through construction again. So
True.
They're taking into consideration the main conductor that's going down. And the question you ask yourself is, why would they bond it in? That's the question. And the reason is so it won't jump. And you're taking it down because if it's ball bonded into a metal structure and everything, it's going to take, and even if it jumped across, didn't go the conductor, went to uh, the the metal body that's going across, it will take the shortest path down to where your ground ring around the building.
100%.
So this gives a little extra information here that a lot of people don't, probably have no idea about. And this is where you get in. And that's why it's good that if you get into any type of lightning protection, you're probably going to need a good publication to know what you're getting into. That's why you want to get the stalker, because we're the only one that has it with all this. And we talk about all this stuff here and give you design tips and examples that you need to look at. And that's why we spent so much time drawing the illustrations for this publication, because it's important that you're following everything and you know how you're bonding everything in up above the roof level or on the roof. And you need to know exactly, if you get a lightning strike, how that current is, the path that it's going to take. And
yeah, and we are going to have Chad on. Chad actually reached out to me. It wasn't like I reached out to him. He wants to be on the show. So, anytime he wants to come on, I told him he's more than welcome. So anybody that wants to be a guest, reach out to me and you can be on the show. I mean, Jeremy's already been on here a couple times and he's gotten destroyed every time. So,
well, the thing is, I don't even know why he's so worried about it. I mean, it makes no sense, Jeremy, why you're so, because one of the top experts in the world is already on here.
Ooh,
there you go.
Yeah,
and yes,
got him.
And yes, I have done many big court cases and stuff. And if I'm unsure about something, I ask the number one expert, and that's senior. And there ain't anybody disagrees with that needs their freaking head examined.
Go look back at the last few episodes. We showed every single audio. I plug and played it right there. You got destroyed.
Oh yeah, it caught you in your own lies.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, that was cool. Really awesome. I appreciate that lesson on that. And like I say, I really liked a lot of these guys out there that watch this podcast. Be confident foremen that, they run into like these inspectors like, hey, I think that has to be bonded. You're like, nah, we saw it on Myth of the Week, So that means a lot,
Again, who is one of the top experts? Well, I don't know, Jeremy. I mean, Dad and I have only written 15 publications. I've been on the EECA committee, which is electrical equipment and chemical atmospheres, that covers NFPA standards 496, 497, 499. I've been on 70B, which deals with maintenance of electrical equipment, and I was on that when it first started. I was on 70E pretty much when it first started, electrical safety in the workplace. My dad's been chairman of many code-making panels.
He's proving it right now. Just keep listening there.
I'm telling you, you can go look it up, baby. It's all in there. You can go look, and you'll see our names in there. Dad was chairman of different code-making panels, and I was his alternate, and I was gathering all the information, putting together, developing the task groups to go through all that. Man, God, I just sat here and go on and on. I've taught at almost all the different Department of Energy and Department of Defense locations, Exxon Mobil, Texaco, Arco, Phillips 66, DuPont, Kimberly Clark. I just sat here and got NASA, been out there many times at different locations. Also have been to different affiliate sites that do work for OSHA at their locations. And I mean, I just can't sit here.
That's like the dumbest thing. So you're saying that he got where he's at because of his daddy, but then you're saying his daddy's a dipshit? Like, that's like the stupidest thing. That's like contradicting.
I want everybody to hear this. He's such a dipshit that they screwed up code-making panel 14 so bad. And this was at a time that they didn't allow
I wouldn't want to
special experts on the code-making panel. But it was so bad that they put Dad on as the chairman. And then they added other special experts on that panel so that they could take and get the hazardous location fixed up because it was screwed up so bad, and had all these special experts when they didn't allow them. But yet, that's not proof enough, even though his name's in there. And I've already submitted to him the documentation to go look at the code book and see his name in there when he did it. And now he just sort of acts like, you know how stupid you sound saying that about him.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy, let me explain to everybody. This guy has received awards from IAI. He even received one, and I posted this, from the union, Jeremy, from your own union. They gave it to him. He received accommodation awards from UL. He was on the UL Electrical Council. I think he might have been chairman of, if I'm not mistaken. And he was on that. He's been on all kinds of stuff dealing with NFPA, who writes the code book. I mean, he's done so much. And there at one time, IAI actually asked him, wanted him to be over IAI, and he told them no, they couldn't pay him enough because he had all his books and he was making great money, writing his publications. He didn't want to deal with that. I went to all the IAI meetings, Jeremy, all the southern sections, southeastern, western, I can go on and on with all of those. I've been to all those. I've been on their panel setting up there, people asking questions. I mean, I've done stuff you've never done, but yet you're going to sit here and call, the stalker names when we've done all this stuff in the industry and try to talk to us like, we're the scum of the electrical industry. I mean, it's disgusting the way you act.
Yeah,
I mean, it's embarrassing.
Dude, I was actually so honored when you wanted to do this podcast, and like the whole thing is that we get like lessons from Pops all the time on like stuff that we didn't know. We've been in the trade this whole time, like probably longer than Weed Man, and we start seeing all this stuff. We're like, what? Really? That's why they did that?
Let me explain something. Yeah, he's scared to debate the code. Let me tell you something. He's 86 years old. He's dealing with a skin cancer problem right now. He's trying to get over and everything. He's having to doctor himself and all of this, and now he's got little blood spots that appeared on his arm that were pre-cancer. Just went over today, and they just did a biofreeze on those. I mean, he's an old man, and this old man would tear you up, but he's dealing with physical problems right now, and you're sitting here just bad-mouthing somebody that's given so much to the electrical industry, and you should be ashamed of yourself. You're truly a freaking embarrassment. I tell you, if I was out somewhere and you were talking to my dad like that, I'll tell you right now, it wouldn't end well for you, and I can handle it. I'll tell you that right now.
That's 100%.
You're nothing more than a keyboard warrior that comes on here and talk trash to people. I mean, coming from somebody called the whole state of Texas electricians, nothing but glorified ditch diggers.
Right,
what an embarrassment he is.
That happened. So what are we going to? Are you going to do your topic?
Oh, yeah. Let's go ahead and get it going.
All right.
All righty. And I'll say one more thing about I'm gonna have Mark Odie on here pretty soon. He's finishing
Nice.
STEAM up. He still teaches some for NFPA and other companies. He was
Okay.
down here about a month ago. We went and had dinner with him, and I'd like you to come on and tell Mark Odie that about senior. He'll tell you go to hell. You don't know what you're talking about. Mark learned from Dad, and he'll tell you he's the best instructor he's ever seen. So that'll give you an idea. Mark Odie's well respected in the industry. He actually used to work for NFPA. So
Sure.
that, you know, but don't let the facts get in the way of a good lie. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Oh God. I tell
Yeah.
you,
Funny,
he,
funny,
he
funny.
he 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 is our comic relief every week.
There you go. You got it. You got that joke out there.
Okay, they made a change here. This is in 215.12C1. This is where you get into the identification of your ungrounded conductors. And what they did is doing the identification and tying it in accordance with 310.6A3. That's where the the real change came in is the reference point. Other than that, there really wasn't that much that did change. But when you go over and you pick up the conductor identification, that's where you go over the 310.6A3, and that's where your ungrounded conductors are. And you'll have A, B, and C there. And basically, the way you look at this, it reminds me when I was going through uh, the union apprenticeship. One of the things we were taught
I
is
can't believe you don't know who Mark Odie is. That's shows him how what are you living under a
not
rock
Mark
there or
Cody,
something?
Odie, ODE. Go look him up, and you'll see. Oh, and to give, he also worked for. Wait for this. You're gonna let it. Dun, 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 UL. Okay.
Oh yeah,
So, and Mark agrees with everything I'm saying, by the way. So,
yeah.
when you look at this, and I'll tell you something about that also. He had Ryan Jackson call him and wanted Mark. He wanted Mark to get him on at NFPA. Well, guess what happened? NFPA didn't want him. So now Ryan Jackson's pissed off at Mark because he couldn't get him
Right,
on.
right.
And I know
Right.
that 100% fact because I heard it from Mark Cody's mouth. So
Yeah.
when you're sitting
I
here
can see that.
and you're talking, who's that? Well, apparently your good buddy that you said you didn't know, and then we showed pictures of you, and then you said, "Well, I don't know him that well." He seems to know who Mark is. All right. So as I'm looking at this, this is where they get in, and this clarification with this subdivision is to clarify that the feeders are supplied from what? One nominal system voltage. That's it. And then you go in and do your identification. Well, like I was taught when I was coming through the apprenticeship, if we had 122.8, 122.40, we actually were taught this, and it was actually in our lesson plans that we would use black, red, blue, and white. If it was a 482.77, we applied the Boy method and we used brown, orange, yellow with a gray for the neutral. Okay.
And
But
so
now when
what
you look
section?
at that, now when you
What?
look at that,
Sorry, didn't
even
interrupt.
even when I was teaching for NFPA, in their documentation, we would talk about assigned conductors and reserve conductors. Okay, that was the terminology that they used in their program. And basically, when you looked at it, if I had a neutral, it was white or gray or one or more stripes other than green. And then if I'm looking at the equipment ground, it was green, bare, or green with one or more yellow stripes. That those are your reserve. Now there's some others for the high leg and for like intrinsically safe circuits, light blue, stuff like that.
So
But
what is the reference on this change?
It just taking you to 310.683 for the identification of conductor.
So this is what the changes 215.
Yeah, it just took place for feeders and referring you over to 310.683.
Gotcha. Okay.
And when you look at this, basically now you've got your assign and reserve colors that I just gave, and any other colors can be used for the vote.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's basically what took place there. And then when you go in and you get into 215.18A1 to A5, you're still in your feeders. And what you're going to look at here is where you get in and you're dealing with your surge protection. And all they did here is talk about if you have any type of feeder, and it's defined any of these fallen areas, you got to have surge protection devices installed. And this is where you have dwelling units, dormitories. Now, dwelling units was in there. They've added dormitories, and then they had the guest rooms and guest suites of hotels, but they added motels and dormitories. And then they, in the last cycle, they had areas of nursing homes and limited care facilities. But those are where they're only used exclusively as patient sleeping rooms. And then number 5 is where they had the big change that took place. And they talk about any type of areas that are designed for use exclusively, where you have sleeping quarters and fire stations, police stations, ambulance stations, rescue stations, ranger stations, basically any type of locations like that. They're now going to require that you have these surge protection devices. Okay.
Yeah.
Then 225.31A and B, when you look at this one, this is where you're going to get into your outside branch circuits and feeders. And when you look at 31A and B, this is where you're going to get in and you're going to start talking about the disconnecting means. And when you look at this particular one, what they did in A is they just added a sentence after this. And they basically say this: if you take and you have a disconnecting means and it's used as an emergency disconnect, they tell you need to go look at 225.41, and that's where they come in and they tell you that if you install the disconnecting means for emergency disconnect, and this is where you're dealing with for 1 and 2 family dwelling units, it says it has to be in a readily accessible outdoor location, and that has to be on the dwelling unit or within sight of the dwelling.
True.
Okay. And then when it tells you within sight of the dwelling, it'll tell you go look at 110.29. And what does 110.29 tell you? That's where it talks about where it's within sight and within what? 50 foot.
Yeah, 50 foot. I was gonna say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Like the thing is that this isn't really a change for a lot of people out here, like Colorado. This is what we do. This is what we've been doing since the 90s. You know, like I don't even think that there's that many indoor locations that even exist.
well,
So, like every time I go do a panel change, it's almost always outside. So all you have to do, and what I really like about that, you just covered that SPD requirement. I actually think that's decent. I don't have a problem with it because they have a main breaker kit with SPD. That's decent price. I don't even think it's that much more than the regular main breaker kit. So, you know, I don't have a problem when I go do these panel swaps and toss in a SPD main. I don't have a problem with it. You're compliant with code. It's an emergency disconnect. It's outside. It's good.
yeah.
So,
And it's good you brought it up because when you go to B, 225.31B, they added a new sentence there. They added a new sentence and then took an old sentence and clarified. But it talks about if it's located inside the building, like you were talking about, then all they tell you there is that disconnecting means is required to be in a readily accessible location, but it has to be nearest the point of the entrance of those conductors.
True.
Okay.
And I don't know why weed man's like always wanting to like install every breaker, in all his commercial panel boards that he gets. But like I say, all mine come pre-assembled, tested in the equipment, and 100% rated. So I don't know what kind of podunk jobs you're working on there, weed man, but I'm right, you're wrong. So whatever.
And like I was saying in the general, where it talked about it, the disconnecting means is use emergency disconnect. You got to comply with 225.41. Well, the next sentence they put in B that was below that says exactly what we just read in 225.41. And it tells you that the disconnecting means is located outside the building. Then, of course, that disconnecting means needs to be located where? At a readily accessible location or within sight of the building. And then it tells you, just like it did in 225.41, in accordance with what? 110.29.
100%.
Okay.
Yep.
So it goes back and forth to catch that.
It's code loop.
Yeah, pretty much. That's exactly right. And matter of fact, when you go look at our book and everything that we did, you'll see that code loops put in. And then I just referenced 225.41 about the disconnecting means. And then it just ties in the requirements there for when you're at a one and two family dwelling units. And now you've got all the information tied in. So basically I'm looking at 225.31A and B and 225.41A1 as the same requirements. Okay. And all we did is show you two different setups here. And then we showed you here where it was on the outside of the building. That's all we did.
Yeah.
So all that, and you'll look here, like if I'm looking at this, we also put in here, we put in some extra information here saying make sure you, in the box up top, comply with 225.31. And also you need to look at 230.70A1 and no additional emergency disconnect is required per 225.41A exception.
Right.
Okay. Now, this one here, we're looking at 230.2A and B. And of course, when I get into Article 230, I'm dealing with services. And when you come over here and you pick up 230.2A and B, this is all brand new. And this is where it gets into the listing requirements. And what it's going to tell you here, that there's certain equipment that is now, they're going to say is required to be listed. And this is where they're going to talk about meter sockets. And meter sockets are required unless it's supplied by and under the exclusive control of who? The utility.
Yep.
Okay. Then we also tell you any type of meter mounted transfer switches, you got power distribution blocks, pressure connectors, your devices for your splices and taps, and permanently mounted absent of voltage testers. So all of those have to be listed. Now, this is where you need to pay real close attention, Jeremy, because this is something that I've brought up a bunch of times, and I've explained this, and I said, if you go back and you look at when we came out with our OSHA 70E publication, and we explained about custom-made equipment and getting into listing and labeling, this is when you'll see that UL started their custom-made equipment program. Matter of fact, Dad actually went out. They were setting up the requirements to do one, and we had a chart that was put together that you went down and checked. And actually, UL called and asked for permission to use our chart that we put together. And Dad went out with them when they were doing the first listing and labeling of the equipment, where it was going to be a field installed label. Okay. So when you look at this 230.2b, these are the words you're gonna hear: listed or field evaluated.
True.
Okay, so it says service equipment other than specified in 230.2a, which I just talked about, shall be listed, or it has to be what? Field evaluated. Now, let me bring up a point for everybody to hear, because we've heard so many times, Jeremy and all them boys over there at ECD, you know, they and even Dimitrovich and Ryan Jackson, all them guys, and Paul Abernathy, they tell you, the NEC overrides the listing and labeling. Okay, well, if I look at this and I'm looking at 230.2a and b, and I follow the rules per OSHA as them being as a NERDL, and I come out and do a field evaluation and I approve that equipment, how does the code making panel have the right, or anybody else, to come over and override that?
They don't. It's all supposed to work hand in hand.
That's right.
The whole entire process is supposed to be equal. So the NEC complies with OSHA, OSHA complies with the NEC. It's all the same thing.
And if you look, we give a lot of sections there, but the one I want to point out, we put in there note 1, we say, look at 230.2A1 through A5. Then also you need to look at 110.3 A through C and 90.7. Oh, that sort of sounds like something I've been talking about all this time, trying to explain this to these guys.
True.
And tying that in with the OSHA requirements.
And the thing is, so the reason that they do this is when you get into some of these court cases, like, everyone's going to be on the same page, and it's not going to be just a direct liability with NFPA, because NFPA is going to be like running for the hills if they get a lawsuit when they tell them put GFCI, and there's some old people that die.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you're getting into. Now, this one is 230.67A, and this goes right back into your surge protection. And it says, all services supplying the following shall be provided with surge protection device. And guess what? It reads exactly, almost identically, word for word, as this right here, which deals with what? One deals with feeders, the other one deals with what? Services. Yep. Okay? So that's why we did both of them here, so you could see and you know where to go get that information. Now, 230.70 A1 through A3. What happened here? Well, this is where you're going to get in and you're going to be looking at the service disconnect location. Okay? And when it talks about these service disconnects, the one that we're going to be looking at mainly here in A1 is 1 and 2 family dwellings. Well, guess what it says? Well, let's go right back to where?
Dude, there
right
are
there.
breakers. There are breakers that come pre-installed in panel boards, weed man, that are 100% rated. They are tested in the enclosure. That was exactly what I said. You said if they were multi-case circuit breakers, they were 80% rated. That is incorrect. So I went.
That is correct. And this one ties right back in to where I was looking at what? Outdoor branch circuits and feeders. Right here. Okay. So you've got the exact same requirement right here where I'm looking at the service disconnect location that's tying in where I'm dealing with these 1 and 2 family dwellings. And then you come down and the other thing it just tells you is where you're in bathrooms, and it says the service disconnecting means shall not be installed where? In bathrooms. That's it. And then when you get in, you pick up, there's another part there where it's all brand new, which you're going to start seeing. Matter of fact, I'll just go next one because it's all going to be tied in here. So you're going to get into B1, and this is where you get into the service disconnect marking. And it tells you that you got to mark these service disconnects, and they got to be marked in accordance with 230.70 B1 and B2. And you pick up the marking, and it just says the service disconnect shall be marked what? Service disconnect. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing it's going to talk about there, it's going to say the marking shall be on or adjacent to the service disconnect and comply with what? 110.21b. Okay.
These are your markings and labelings, which
Right.
that's where you got that red mark, because the red means danger.
Yeah, because when you go pick up B, 121B, this is where you're looking at your field applied hazard markings. Okay. And when you're dealing with field hazard markings, this is where you look at, and they're going to tell you, you need to go look at your ANSI standard, which is Z535. Okay. So everybody can follow along where I get all this information from. And they tell you, you got to mark that based where you have a caution, warning, or danger. Okay. And based on what type of installation you're in, if it's just a caution, you're going to do it with a yellow. But if it's a warning, you're going to do it in orange. And of course, if it's danger, we do it in what? Red. Okay. And they make that referral back there when you're dealing with services. And that's why you got to know exactly where you're going to pick this information up. And then it says if you have 1 and 2 family dwellings, now that was just service disconnects. And then it says enclosures of disconnects for 1 and 2 family dwellings, they also have to be marked what? Emergency disconnects. And then it tells you it has to comply with what? 110.21b. But when it's on a 1 and 2 family dwelling, what does it say there? It tells you the markings are required to be located on the outside front of that disconnect enclosure, but it has to be done with a red background with white text, and all the letters have to be at least a 1/2 inch high. And then it drops down and says, if you're using any type of service equipment that's installed in a hazardous location, it has to comply with what? The requirements for a hazardous location. Okay. So that gets you looking at that. And then of course, B2, that's where I just talked about the 1 and 2 family dwellings. So I don't have to go on that. But one of the things that we did here, and I recommend this, you want to see the markings, the different type markings that are there. These are 3 different markings based on 2 different type of disconnects that you could see out there. And if you go look at this, we show you exactly what those markings should look like on that equipment. So if you go over and get into the learning management system and you want to get the code change book and you just sort of increase the size, you'll be able to see what those markings say. It's hard to see on here, but actually you could take and increase this right here and it'll just tell you it, like here's 3 markings you would see on there. It'll say emergency disconnect for your service equipment. Then it'll say emergency disconnect, not service equipment. Then it can say emergency disconnect, meter disconnect, not service disconnect. Okay. So those are markings that you would see on the equipment that you need to look at. All right. Then we get into 230.95B. When you get over here, this is your ground fault protection of equipment. And all they did is we've already had where we were dealing with a solidly grounded Y electrical systems, but they also come in and they added it where you're dealing with solidly grounded DC electrical systems. And when you look at that ground fault protection of equipment, it's going to tell you where you have solidly ground DC electrical services where they're not more than 150 volts to ground, but not exceeding 1500 volts DC line to line. And that's for each service disconnect that's rated 1,000 amps or more. Okay. But it's also going to tie in once you have ground fault protection there, you don't need it on what? The feeder. Okay. And those are things that it's going to tie in with all these. That's why we show you up here in the illustration. Matter of fact, if I look at down below the conduit there, we say also see 230.95, 210.3. That's where you deal with the branch circuits, and 240.13. And then also over here for the service or feeder protection, we tell you to look at 215.10 and 230.95. So there's 4 sections you really need to look at there: 230.95, 210.13, 215.10, and 240.13. Okay.
Right. Okay.
And that will get me through Article 230, and we'll start off on 240 next week.
All right. Well, no, awesome presentation. I really love dealing with the code changes. It kind of helps us as journeymen out in the field kind of understand like what's important, what's not. Like if I hear you like laugh, then I know it's not important. But then if I hear you get like real serious, then I know I gotta pay attention. But
Yeah, pay attention because
I'm really
this is
just
important
joking.
stuff here to listen to.
Yeah. But you know, I was just joking a little bit, but King James in his code publications always puts like a author's comment in there so you could kind of know. And we've kind of attacked these guys a little bit in the last code cycle, and we've got some really good results out of this podcast. I'm really proud of it. I post the High Voltage Live podcast as my affiliation for code changes, and I do that specifically because I don't have any motivation to try to change the code for my company or for my organization that I work for. There's really no special interest for me. The only special interest is, this is stupid. Why are they doing this, you know? So that's why I want everyone to know like kind of my motivation behind my code changes. And it's really fun to me, honestly, like when you see Tommy D go, I know you're trying to ask me where the outlet is, Willie, but I'm not going there because he doesn't know where it is, you know. And so it's really funny, you know, hearing Tommy D, you know, Weed Man wants to bust on us saying we're using other people's podcasts, but I just want people to hear the actual audio and hear what's actually being said, you know. And, you know, Weed Man's just going to sit there and parrot the same thing over and over and never say anything original. So.
I want to show something and share this podcast because I'm going to show you some stuff, and I'm going to encourage you to go check the other providers out there and see if they provide this type of information for you. And you know, a lot of people say, "Oh, how do you remember all that? Where are you getting that from?" And what we've done in ours. And this will give you a really, really good idea of the stuff that you see when you come in and you're studying through our courses and stuff. And I'm going to increase this a little bit because I want everybody to see just exactly what we're talking about here. Now, when you get in, and this is just, you can go on and look at this. I've had so many people come on and want access just looking at this stuff that we're putting up for you to look at. But this is like a new definition for your bypass isolation switch. And anything that was done in green, this is all brand new definition. We come in, like Bill was saying, we give you an author's comment and explain what the difference is here. Okay. And they're explaining what is the difference between a bypass isolation switch and a bypass isolation transfer switch. Okay. That's why we had to put the definition in there. And then what we come down and we did here is we give you the definition here explaining.
Tune in next week, Weed Man. We're gonna announce it next week, Weed Man. And we're gonna
Yeah, if you've been here earlier, you would have known that.
Yeah.
And so we tell you what it is. So we tell you the bypass isolation switch is a device that's designed to work alongside a transfer switch, providing a direct connection between the load conductors and a power source. This setup allows the transfer switch to be isolated or disconnected for maintenance or troubleshooting purposes. A lot of people don't know that. Okay. So we come in, we explain it, and then we turn around and we tell you what the functionality is of it. And then we tell you what the key differences are between the two. Okay.
I'd
And
really
if,
love to see what your deathmatch competitions like there, Weed Man, that you put together with your own money and your own time. But I guarantee you won't because you're too much of a coward.
well, I've said this many times. The ones that are always griping are the ones that never do anything. They gripe at the ones that do. And it's just like the guy we're going to have on next week. He's getting pushback because he actually went out and did something,
Yeah.
And Jeremy's one of those that don't do anything, but he wants everybody to think he knows everything. Now, one of the other things we did, we got tables that we're doing on each one. That's why it's taking a while, because we're putting a lot of very important information in here. And we put in the definition and we tell you examples. You could have a manual bypass switch or automatic bypass. This is just quick information. We tell you what the purpose is that ensures uninterrupted power supplied during maintenance or transfer switch isolation. And we give you examples of where this is used. It's in data centers and hospitals. And then we tell you that you need to look at certain regulations for safety and reliability. And we tell you, go look at 110.3 and OSHA 1910-303. And then we tell you the components. Okay.
You wouldn't even do it, Weed Man. You wouldn't even do the death match. So quit acting like you do stuff.
And then this right here.
You don't do anything like that. So quit acting like you do.
It's one thing we give you all of this information up top, and it's just like here, we're showing you what a bypass isolation switch is here, and when you get it online, you can actually increase this. And we've got, and this is why it takes so long to do a lot of these things. And I encourage you to go compare with everybody else, but we've got the information here, what it says on the labels. We show you what it looks like, where the switch is over here on the side when you're doing this. So there's a whole setup here for you to follow. And then we tell you right here where we don't do articles, but we do sections. And unless it's article 100, like right here, because it is for the switch. So you click that, there's the text that's there. But here we tell you, you could have loads for branch circuits, feeders, or services. Well, let's just look. What is the load for a feeder? Come here. There's your information right there. And you can scroll through this and keep up with everything. So we have spent quite a bit of time going through setting this all up. And then you've got your setups here where you can go and you can click over here. You can just run to whatever you want to. I'll have it as an open. But when you're doing your state license, you're not going to be able to do that. You have to go through each one individual. But look at all this information that's there. There is so much for you to look at. So, I encourage anybody, go look at what's out there. And I'll guarantee you, when you come in and you see the information that's provided in these online courses, there isn't another one out there or any programs out there that have this type of information.
100%. I didn't mean to post up this joke.
I didn't bother me any. He just with all his comments and everything that he's doing over there, basically what he's really doing is he's actually showing his ignorance. That's basically what he's doing.
True.
So
he must not have that great of apprenticeship program.
Well, I mean, anybody that watches this podcast, any new ones, go back and look at others. He comes on here every week and just cries like you wouldn't believe. He just, I mean, he is a true definition of a protester.
Yeah, true. I'm surprised Weed Man doesn't have purple hair dye somewhere on his bathroom.
No telling's where he has his piercings.
Yeah, never know. Never know. Are we doing the tool?
Yep, let's roll it out.
It's time for Tool Review of the Week. Sponsored by Electricians Only Tool Review and Nipex Tradesman.
All
Right,
righty.
awesome. So I really love doing the tool review of the week, and we had to use this the other day. This was really cool. It was a really cool tool. We had some stuff that was electrical related that we thought was like hotter than normal, and we wanted to kind of figure out why. And it was really cool to have this Milwaukee heat gun to kind of look at it and be like, is that normal? Is that not? And when I saw the temperature, I was like, that is not normal. Something is wrong. So what we did was we ended up finding out what was going on. There were some loose connections, and it was making that branch circuit conductors heat up. The pipe was, I think it was 140 degrees or 150 degrees. It was up there. And I was like, yeah, conduit doesn't get hot, you know. So what we ended up finding out was that they had had too many conductors in a raceway, and they had loose connections and stuff going on, and that's what made it get hotter. And so it's really cool that we were able to just have this tool. We didn't have to climb up there or anything. It was less than 10 foot. We were we were able to just shoot it up there. Dude, Daniel, I can't believe it, man. I literally can't believe it, man. I mean, Weed Man's just the biggest clown out there. But
It's every week. And I mean, you go and look at him, he's calling everybody all kinds of names, F stick, B words, just, oh God,
Yeah.
I mean, he
yeah.
really is. I mean,
But anyway, I just thought this was a really cool tool. It was pretty fairly priced. You're not really paying for the Milwaukee logo. You know, it's gonna be a fair market value for this, and it was really cool. It's compact. We got right to it, found out what the problem was, and got it fixed pretty quick. So I really liked it as far as just a quick tool to have like in your tool arsenal. Not saying that I would have it in like my normal tools that I have, but for like a maintenance electrician, maybe if you guys are on our 70B, you know, your maintenance electrician.
yeah, you'd want one during maintenance.
Yeah, you know, it's not really more of an install electrician tool, but really cool. I really liked it, so recommend that one. And like I say, pretty badass little thing to have going on. And then we're gonna go to the Man vs. Machine. I think I might get you this week. I might get you.
Well, let's
Might
get her
get-
cranked up and
I
let's
don't
see
know.
if I
I'm
do
trying.
good.
I'm trying, man.
For years, man tried to create artificial intelligence. On this segment, we find out, is AI smarter than King James?
All right.
I think you'll like this one. I actually got ChatGPT on it. I tested it out, and so we'll see if you got
Let's see.
what it takes. This one's kind of easy.
Full
You
social
might have done
media.
it before. I don't know for sure, but
Oh yeah, I know this one. Matter of fact, I just got through updating, doing some illustrations for the design book, and we have some of the pull stuff in there where we're dealing with the motors, and it's 3 foot.
well,
So,
I
I
don't want
think-
to tell you what ChatGPT's answer was.
I think
when
it's
I asked it.
680 point 20 A1 680 20 something A.
Yeah, I know
It's like
680.
A1 or 2 or something like that.
Yeah, I know it's 680 because that's the pools, but I try to make one because I get a lot of hate mail when I don't have like exact where you would reference the pool. So
Yeah.
I try to get it in there, but I don't want to even speculate. I hope ChatGTP gets it right because of me, but it got it wrong when I asked it. So we'll see.
All right. Let's ask
You
it.
know?
Let's see what it says. I got it now. It said
Wow.
680 21A1. I said 20. All right, let me go over to NFPA link.
See, it said 6 foot when I asked it.
It probably learned.
So maybe I need to. Oh, well, it's watching the show, remember?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just copying your answer. So you probably corrected it before it even got a chance to answer. Dude, we're actually changing AI as in real time here on a live show. Like that's amazing.
Okay, it was 680 21A2.
Okay.
So I was close to the section. So
Yeah. No, you're good.
the answer is correct. Correct. Chat GPT. However, the National Electrical Code section is 680.21 A2 into
Nice. Well, and you could tell that we're really, educating AI. Like to me,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Like I like it because then AI is like, man, King James really knows a lot of stuff because I just copy his answer on everything and I get it right. So we'll see. I don't know if that's gonna be that lucky for you in the Willie quiz, but.
All right, so it plays master log. Everything's ready to go.
Sweet.
It's really starting to build up a nice little log because we've been doing it for a while now.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't even think it got any right for like the first 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Yeah.
But it's really cool. Like we're doing this for you guys out there that want to cheat on your homework. We're making it.
Yeah, we got 11 over on Rumble. Welcome everybody on the Rumble side. Hope y'all enjoying the podcast tonight.
Awesome.
All right,
Yeah.
let's kick it off. It's time for Willie Quiz. All right.
Oh, dude, such an easy quiz tonight. You're gonna love this. We're doing it on Napoleon Bonaparte. I know that you already know this one. This one's easy. So, question number 1: Napoleon Bonaparte was actually born on which island? Was it A, Corsica? Was it B, Sicily? Was it C, Elba? Was it D, Sardinia? Or was it E, Malta? Good luck, everyone.
I got a story for this. All right. I can tell you exactly when I was there because my mom, who's passed away now, but she sent me there. I was doing a fly through. I was going over to Saudi, and I stayed there an extra week. It was my 35th birthday. She goes, "Yeah, we'll cover it. You've been gone and all that." And I went over to the Louvre, and that's where I learned in Paris, France. And they had a big, huge, there's a big, huge display there on Napoleon Bonaparte. And I actually sat there. I was there for almost 7 hours, I think, going through all that. And then I went back the next day so I could catch everything else because there's a lot to see there and read, about the history. And I love history. And if I remember this correctly, it was on Corsica.
Well, it looks like you are going to copy Daniel with the answer of A. Oh, man, I forgot to put my drum roll in. And you guys are correct. A is the correct answer. I was like,
Okay.
oh, man, I knew I was forgetting something. Man.
Oh, I know this one.
Do I
Yeah.
even have drum roll in here? I don't even know if I even have it. Let me see if I... Sometimes I put drum roll in, but I don't know if I do it. Oh, yeah, there we go. All right, we got drum roll in there now. All right. So, question number 2. Before becoming emperor, Napoleon staged a coup known as what? A, the July Revolution. B, the coup.
Brumaire. The coup of 18 Brumaire.
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 C, the Thermodian reaction. I'm like, dude, I really appreciate Adam out there because Adam is like, dude, don't even care about pronunciation. D, the Paris Commune, or E, the Bourbon Restoration. Good luck, everyone.
Oh, yeah, I know this one. Let's see if Danielle gets it right. Come on, Daniel.
All right, so looks like Daniel is like stumped a little bit. He's
Here he
trying to-
comes.
He's got B.
Hey, he'd be right.
He's got
It's
B.
the coup of 18 Brumaire. Brumaire.
We have 2 correct answers. Awesome job, guys. Let's go to question number 3. Which battle is widely considered Napoleon's greatest victory? A, the Battle of Waterloo. B, the Battle of Leipzig. C, the Battle of Asterix. D, the Battle of Barnzindo. Or E, the Battle of Trafalgar. Good luck, everyone.
That would be see the Battle of Austerlitz.
So didn't he get his butt whooped at Waterloo?
Yeah. Yeah, his greatest victory was the Battle of Austerlitz.
So far, we have 3 correct answers. I cannot wait to get the tiebreaker on you guys. All right, question number 4. Napoleon said sold the Louisiana Territory to the United States in 1803. What was the major reason for this? A, he needed money for the European wars. B, he lost interest in the New World. C, pressure from Spain. D, fear of Native American savages, uprisings. Or E, to strengthen Britain. Good luck, everyone.
Well, I have an idea. But, you know, one of the reasons the territory of Louisiana, they really liked it because it's profitable to them because of the sugar that was there. And
Okay.
a lot of the French army, they got a lot of fierce resistance, but a lot of the soldiers, they died from that yellow fever. A lot of people don't know that.
Okay.
So it goes to show I know my history. And basically, he was going to lose it anyway, so he decided to sell it so he had the money to fight against Great Britain. So I guess that's what you're talking about when you're saying the European wars.
Looks like you're going to copy Daniel once again.
Yeah, but I'm giving a lot of good information on this.
4 correct answers. I cannot believe this. This is incredible. We have like too many smart people in the chat tonight. All right. Question number 5. Where was Napoleon first exiled after his initial eradication in 1814? Was it St. Helena? Was it B, Corsica? Was it C, Elba? Was it D, Sardinia? Or was it E, Matilda? Good
I
luck,
know
everyone.
this one too. That would be Elba. See?
Let's see how Daniel answered. Oh, he goes C. King James copies Daniel. We have a tie game. All right, we are going to the tiebreaker round. Everyone loves the tiebreaker round.
Hit it up.
So, King James knows this right off the top of his head. What was the height of Napoleon Bonaparte? What was his height? And closest without going over. So, I think
Well, if I remember this exactly, it was right about 5'6". He wasn't tall.
Right.
Might have been
All
5'5", but I'll go 5'6".
King James goes 5'6". Let's see if Daniel wants to wager anything. 5'7". Daniel gets the win. Oh man, King James was scared to go higher. He was 5'7", which is actually an average height. He was named as a short. He was named as short by the British to make him make him seem like small. So Daniel got it. He nailed it.
I'm calling bullshit on this. I'm going to check it.
It was exactly 5'7". He was exactly 5'7".
Let me go over here. I'm gonna check.
Dude, we got a red flag coming in there, Daniel. Maybe, maybe I was wrong, but
Napoleon Bonaparte. There we go. All right. See what it says here.
the sources I had said exactly 5'7".
It says after his death, he was measured at 5 foot 2 inches in French feet and inches, which converted to roughly 5 feet 6.5 inches.
Oh, so Daniel's right. You were low. You were low.
So I'm lower. He went over.
Oh man. Yeah. I don't know. I'm still giving Daniel the win. Daniel got it.
That's what it says. It literally says. It says after his death. Well, they're not 100% sure, really, because they're saying that he was measured at 5 foot 2 inches in French feet and inches, which converted roughly to 5 foot 6.5 inches. Let's see if there's.
Daniel doesn't want to hear any whining, man. Yeah. Daniel's just gonna give up the victory, man. He's like,
Let's
I
see.
don't want to hear any.
Oh well, they're all saying 5 foot 6 to 5 foot 7.
Yeah, what I heard was 5'7" exact, but like.
But you know where they're measuring it off of is when his death he was 5'2". That's what they're measuring it off of.
Yeah.
I did not know. I didn't know they measured his height based off of when he died. I did not know that.
I didn't know that either, but
yeah, because I sort of remembered when I was there, I could have swore they were saying he was anywhere from 5 foot 6 to 5 foot 7. That's why I went to that. But now it makes sense why they thought that. I did not know it was because of his death how they measured it.
Yeah, you know how they kind of shrink, so I think we should just give Daniel the win tonight.
He can have it. Hell, I've won so many this year.
All right. Yeah,
it's been a true ass whooping, and
I
want him to be happy for a week at least.
You've been way better. Like the thing is, I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna get you on this, and then I don't, and I'm like, dang, how do you know that? So, it's true tradition.
You know what's funny is
pickle shot.
I've actually been to the Louvre, and I've actually read all about that. And if you ever get a chance to go to Louvre, it's worth the trip. I mean, it's really neat in there. I mean, I enjoyed the hell out of it. But I'm a big history buff. I like to go read about stuff when I go. I'll tell you one of my favorite trips of all time is when I was in Williamsburg, Virginia, and I went through all of that down there, and I went to Jamestown, the first colony, saw it and all that, and reading all there's a lot of history right there. And I was just going there. And what was funny, I'd stop and eat somewhere, and I'd just get to talking to people, and they say, "Oh yeah, go visit this." They tell me things to go see, and I'd be like, "Where's that?" I'd get it all marked down, and I went and saw probably about, I'd say, because I was there for 5 days, and I would say there was probably about 12 Scotch people told me to go see, and that was just me talking to people, and go see this, it was awesome.
We're gonna give Daniel the win, 5'7". You got it, Daniel. I think that's.
I'm being generous tonight.
I think that's 100% honorable that King James stepped down, but he was off by 1 inch. But
half an inch.
Yeah, it was 1 inch. Like, dude, we're not doing no Frenchy half-inch stuff over here. Like there was a conversion table that went into it. Like, I mean, we're not doing that, bro.
It's like she said, 5'6". I said, no, it's 5'6 6.5", baby.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing is, Daniel, he doesn't want to hear whining from you, man. Dude, it's so funny.
Hey, I just typed it in. That's what it said.
So it's really funny because I was like thinking about trying to get Daniel like hired on the company I was working at the time, and they're like, "Oh no, that guy's a whiner." And then I'm like, Daniel, what's up? I was like, they're calling you whiner and stuff. He goes, yeah, because I didn't want to work Sunday. And I was like, really, dude? I was like, oh, that's a whiner. So it's kind of an inside joke. We're not like talking crap or anything.
Okay,
but
I got another story about that. Okay.
Okay.
So when you look here, we have the stockyards here in Fort Worth. That's where they brought the cattle in and the trains came in and everything. But at Fort Worth, was actually supposed to be where Weatherford is. And what happened in Weatherford, if you go out to Weatherford, you'll see you can be out like at Crescent and stuff and see the tracks are heading that way. And they're older tracks. They still use them today and everything. But the reason that it got moved to Fort Worth and the cattle drive coming in there and everything is because the people that were in Weatherford, they said, we don't work on Sundays. And Fort Worth said, we'll do it for you. And they worked on Sundays. And that's why the stockyards are now in Fort Worth. That's a true story.
All right.
I'm giving y'all some history. I'm a history buff, so you know.
On the next Willie Quiz. But it's really fun. Like, I try to do it easy stuff, but at the same time, it's like, I cannot believe that we had, like, all correct answers. Like, even the tiebreaker was technically 2 correct answers. So, you know what I mean? Like, we can't really say whatever, but Daniel went high, and I don't think you could say that his high number was over. I don't think you could definitively say that 5'7" is wrong.
I don't think you say either is wrong because they said it's an estimate.
Yeah, but it's 5 foot whatever without going
I'll
over.
tell you what we should do. We should just, for the first time in the history of the Willie Quiz, let's call a tie.
All right, let's do it.
Is that fair, Daniel?
Yeah, let's call it a tie.
All right, let's do Wall Shane and call it tonight. Here we go, folks. Let's see what pick we got this week.
Shame. 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 Shame.
No. Shame. Shame.
So funny.
Shame.
Oh,
Cowboys.
Daniel did not go there. No, this was crazy. Like, there was like a self-tapping screw holding that lug in there. And
Really?
yeah, he said it held in there for like 8 years, 6 years or something, but it was like,
Wow.
it had like some flickering lights or something, and then we're like, come check it out, and then he's got that lug in his hand. It's probably, you might have to increase it to see the actual lug with the self-tapper, but he actually has a lug with the self-tapper.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
And he said this baby held on.
And
for
that
like
was
8
Josh
years.
Summers submitted. That's wow. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah. And they just added a lug on there with the self-tapper. And
Well, folks, it just goes to show you're in the electrical field. You just never know what the hell you're gonna see. That's why the Wall of Shame has what 200,000 members or whatever it is.
Oh yeah, it's 250,000. Yeah, that's crazy. But dude, Dan, we have to give. I'm gonna star this comment. Daniel has to get started on this comment. Cowboys are good at getting ties, so I had to star that comment.
I'm just gonna say this: it's still not as good as your glorified ditch digger comment.
Oh yeah, dude,
I don't think you're ever topping that.
dude, we had him. We had him in here, like, dude, I have to, like, scroll through, like, 2,000 comments to get to it. But Daniel, like, in the beginning, he said he has to take his CEUs. He has to take his CEUs, or else he's just a ditch digger. So,
Yep.
you know, like, so we got you, Daniel. We got you. I don't know.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you right now, you can get them CEUs, and Jeremy's still gonna call you that.
Oh, yeah. 100%. I mean, he's just really sad, you know, and, you know, like, that's a good one. I love that comment, Daniel. Like, that's so perfect. Like, that's like all right, I'll take the tie, but I'm going to say the Cowboys are better at getting ties than me.
I'm just gonna say this to you. You can talk all the crap you want about the Cowboys. This right here, those fighting words, baby.
There you go. Got you. We'll give you the hook 'em horns on that one. We'll hook 'em horns on that one.
Oh man.
Yeah. No, but really appreciate everyone joining us. Next week we're gonna try to get Jason Kugli. He made a master electrician app, and my apprentice really loves it. He's been asking questions. I've been asking questions. I'm gonna try to get over. I want to get King James the full version for trial to like kind of mess around. I think he sent it to me already. But like I say, big shout out Jason Kugli, a local 98 in Pennsylvania.
Good.
So we'll see. We'll see how Weedman talks to him live on our show. You know, to have a guest. You know,
Yeah,
from
see
the
how one of his
IBW.
brothers talked to him. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Good Boys Club.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, Jason was really cool. Like he handled everything I thought really professionally on there. He was getting attacked by a bunch of different people, and he was actually handling it really well. Like he was just telling about his app and what he thought his vision was, and he was getting it on. It's not on. I don't know if it's on Android or not. It's definitely on iOS. So you could go to iOS Master Electrician app, and you go to your app store and look up Master Electrician, and then you could just go on there and you can start checking it out. And me and King James, I think, have been checking it out. I have for sure, and I ask it questions a lot, like at least once a day. And I've got a lot of interesting answers, especially the Myth of the Week ones, because it's just really funny. Like, remember we did the one on the face up outlet assembly that goes in the laundry area?
Mm-hmm.
It said, nope, can't do it. There's going to be debris that's going to get in the prongs and all this, and you're going to get water and moisture that goes in the prongs. Well, we already proved that on the Myth, that you're going to have a cord inserted in there. So, you know, that's just what's really funny, that we already proved that if you have a cord attachment that's plugged into that outlet assembly, then it could be face up. And they already gave us permission for that, listed and labeled. It'd be the same thing what we ran into on our Myth of the Week. It'd be the same thing as saying, nope, you can't have a countertop or work surface receptacle face up. Well, it's listed for it. Nope, just can't do it in that area. But it's listed for it in it's listed to be face up, you know, with the cord attachment and plug.
That's right.
So, you know, it's just really fun to do this. So we're really looking forward to have Jason Kugli, Mark Cody, any kind of Mark that has a name that sounds like Odie, we would love to have on the show. And, you know, like I say, it doesn't matter how much Weedman mispronounces somebody's name. It doesn't make us any less credible. So I really appreciate, you know, you, King James, putting these together. And like I say, I'm really looking forward to have Mark Odie on and just, like, kind of pick his brain. Kind of same way I do with your Pops, man. It's always an honor. If he ever wants to come on again, it's so much fun. Like
He will eventually. He's getting over stuff.
Yeah. It's just such an honor to have you guys, a wealth of knowledge with you guys, and I appreciate you bringing me to the table and just having fun doing this. So appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. Been a really fun ride. So I'm really honored, and as always, make every day an easy day. I'm out.
See everybody next Thursday. Y'all have a good weekend.
Deuces.